Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Bill Moretsky. I am on the panel for this meeting and also chairing the meeting. And with me on the panel via Zoom are Ms. Gail Anderson and Mr. Jerry Arnold. Our administrative person today is Mr. Tristan Bradeen. And our assessor today is Mr. Travis Gretchen. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 and 2 on our docket today. Mr. Bradeen, please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony. Oh, okay. Excuse me, Ms. Dakota. You please affirm and the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Travis Gretchen.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Grayson Sharples.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to begin with item number 1, 590 Aaron Street. This is an application for revision of assessment. Are there any preliminary issues before we begin from either party?
Not with this property, no.
Okay. So, Mr. Gretchen, you may begin your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. File number is 24-1028, roll number 130109121100. Address is 590 Aaron Street. The roll year is 2025. Reference date is April 1st, 2023, and we have an assessed value of $524,000. There's one building consisting of one premise, and the effective year built is 1984. The wall height of the building is 16 feet. The land area is 4,114 square feet, and the leasable area is 3,000 square feet. This gives us a land to plan ratio of 1.37. Moving to my page 2, you'll see that the property has been, or the building owner has been compliant with our request for information. Below that, you'll see there has been a recent subject property sale. This was in 2019 for $600,000, which is above our current assessed value. We did look at the sale, and on my page 12 and 13, you'll find this sales mailer indicating again the sale price at $600,000. It is noted just below that. They have checked yes that it is between related parties. However, if you go down further on my page 12, you'll see the item 15, what was the overall condition of the building on site at this point of purchase. They've indicated that it was very good. And on my item, sorry, why am I not seeing it here? Sorry, I'm not seeing it in front of me here. Oh, here we go. It was on page 13, that's why. Was the purchase price based on the property's net operating income? They've included no, that it was not. The $600,000 sale, I'm not sure if there was any additional value in the sale in terms of purchasing with a tenant in place. It hasn't been indicated. Moving back to my page 3, you'll find the maps of the subject property. So the subject is located in the northwest quadrant of the city on Aaron Street. It's between Portage and St. Matthews Avenue. Moving to page 4, there's overhead photos of the building and the lot. You'll find additional photos on page 5 and page 6. If we move to page 7, you'll find my rent comparables. So my rent comparables range in lease start dates from 2018 to 2022, with terms ranging between 5 and 6 years. Leased area square footages range from just over 2,500 square feet to 3,670 square feet. The average wall heights range from 12 to 26 feet, and effective year builds range from 1962 to 1980. The net rents range from $12 to $13.25. I've also selected comparables with similar wall heights and smaller land to plan ratios, as our subject property was on a smaller land to plan at 1.37 or 1.37 ratio. If you move to my page 8, you will find the workup for the property. Once again, you'll notice the leasable area is 3,000 square feet, and we have a rent of $12.27 per square foot, giving us a potential rent of $36,810. After 4% vacancies applied, we arrive at an effective gross income of $35,338. 3% expenses and $4 shortfall applied gives us a net operating income of $33,798. A cap rate of 6.45% applied gives us an estimated or rounded value of $524,000. Moving to my page 9, you'll see the income summary. On page 10, you'll find my capitalization rates. You'll see that our cap rate falls between the 20th and 80th percentiles, or falls inside of, with a cap rate at 6.45%. Page 11 includes the Municipal Act excerpts. Page 12 and 13, we've already gone over, which was the provided sales mailer. Page 14 includes the income and expense mailer that was provided. And then the application is on page 15. That concludes my presentation. I find the value of $524,000 to be fair and equitable, as mentioned, below the sale value, and I would ask the board to confirm this value. I am now open for questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sharples, do you have any questions on the assessor's presentation?
No, I don't think I do actually, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Ms. Anderson, do you have any questions for the assessor?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Arnold, do you have any questions?
The lease information that you provided, is there an end date to that lease, or am I just not seeing it?
Lease information, sorry,
On
on
page 14. Sorry.
page 14. Oh, their income and expense mailer.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes, so if you look at the bottom, it shows the tenant lease date started April 1st, 2022 and goes until March 31st, 2025 at a monthly rent of $3,400.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any pictures for these comparisons that you have here?
No, I don't have pictures for the comparables. It's not something that we generally include in our brief. However, as I mentioned, I did look for similar properties. So this would include factors, location, leased area, wall height, and then I looked for the smaller land to plan ratios as well, because the land to plan was quite small for this property. So I did take that into consideration and found rents at and above what our current value is.
So is this a manufacturing facility of some sort?
Not entirely sure what they're currently what they're using it for. It is zoned for manufacturing light.
Okay, so it would have, like a typical manufacturing facility, it would have an area for offices out front and then manufacturing in the back, that kind of layout?
I haven't inspected the property, but that's what it is zoned for. What they're currently using it for, I'm uncertain of whether it is manufacturing or simply storage. I'm not sure.
And these comparables, are they storage as well, or are they manufacturing?
Same kind of characteristics. So the characteristic of the building is storage warehouse, M1 light manufacturing. So multi-use, but in the same premise. So they could be used for light manufacturing, storage. You know, in some cases, people will use simply for office space or even retail. It's not as common just because these are more dated or not as clean buildings, but reflected in that is like the comparables that I chose.
Okay, and your cap rate, you have it at 6.45, so that would fit, are you fitting it into the industrial category?
Correct. Yeah, it is an industrial warehouse.
So for the Colliers, it's would it be industrial A or industrial B?
I'm uncertain as to the classifications that they use. If you look through the city of Winnipeg's, our cap rates range from 5.35 to 7.3 throughout.
Okay. And the model came up with that cap rate?
Correct. Yeah, the cap rate is model driven.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Thank
Mr. Sharples, you may begin your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just begin on page 6 of our submission, the pages before that. Just property description, a lot of stuff like that I feel like has already been covered. So on page 3, we've got our table here. The left side is the current assessed income breakdown. On the right is what we'll be requesting. So we are asking the board to consider a rental rate of $8.45 per square foot and a capitalization rate of 7.5%. And from this, we've calculated our requested value of $308,000. On page 7, we just have the assessment map and satellite image, and then some photos from street level on page 8. Page 9 would be in our valuation here. So the first thing we did was we took a look at the sales. And so we pulled what we thought were comparable sales of similar industrial warehouse properties. We see from the table here, they kind of range in value from about $71 per square foot up to $130 per square foot. And we get an average and median right around $106, $107 per square foot. And so the current assessment value here was $174.67. So just based on these comparables, the current assessment appears to be too high. And then I will note that the value we're requesting equates to $103 per square foot, which aligns closely with all the sales here. And then we'll also acknowledge going through these that some of these are older than the subject property. Ours was built in 1984. The closest comparable to that one would be second from the bottom at 51 Spears. So this was built in 1989. Pretty similar in terms of square footage. Sold in August 2021 for $400,000, which equates to just over $100 per square foot. So again, we do think this is a good sale and aligns closely with our request. Starting on page 10, we have taken street view photos of the comparables we've used. And those go all the way through down to page 13. On page 14, we've taken a look at the capitalization rate. So as mentioned, the assessed cap rate was 6.45%. Using these sales we pulled, we tried to do our own cap rate calculation to see what we'd come up with. So these are all the sales that we'd identified on the previous page. And since we don't have access to the actual income generated from these properties, we have to do our best to estimate the NOI. And so how we've done that is, for consistency, we've used our requested rental rate of $8.45 per square foot, which I'll go over momentarily here. But we believe that these are all comparable properties to the subject. The subject should have a rate of $8.45 per square foot. So we've used that as our rental rate. And then we've used the vacancy rate, expense allowance, and operating costs from the City of Winnipeg guidelines for income producing properties. And so based on this, we've calculated cap rates that range from about 6.2 to 10.9. And we get an average of 7.49 and a median of 7.2. And so, I mean, this is on the upper end of the cap rates. This 7.5 was supported by CBRE. It is on the higher end, but this is the cap rate we've calculated. And then on page 15, we've taken a look at the rental rate. So the current assessment uses the rental rate of $12.27 per square foot. And then we've identified the leasing comparables below. So we're able to track down quite a few that were fairly similar in terms of year of construction. I think the oldest one we got there is 1963, but mostly in the 70s and 80s for the year of construction of these properties. And then reasonably close in terms of leasable area as well. So subject property was 3,000 square feet. These comparables, I believe, range from 2,000 to about 8,000, 8,500. And so we've calculated an average rental rate from all these leases of $8.45, and the median is $7.50. So again, we just think that the assessed rental rate of $12.27 per square foot is a little high based on all these comparable leases. We only have one, that's 3 from the bottom at 1433 Erin Street, that has a higher rental rate than has been assessed. And then beginning on page 16, we've included the photos of all the leasing comparables we've used. And these photos continue on through to page 24. And so on page 25, just to summarize, we believe that the assessed rental rate is too high and should be closer to $8.45 per square foot. And we are requesting that the capitalization rate be increased. We believe there's support for a rate of $7.50. And with that, we would ask the board to consider reducing the assessment value to $308,000. Thank you.
Mr. Gretchen, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chair. I'll start, I guess, on page 14 of your brief, your capitalization rates. For the properties that you've selected, do you know, are any of these income producing properties?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Okay. I guess so in that case, you mentioned this, but your cap rates are based off a hypothetical or the rent that you would like at $8.45. So the NOIs essentially are just manufactured NOIs, producing varying cap rates. Is there a reason that you didn't use any of the cap rates for properties you had sales to?
We don't have information on the actual NOIs of these properties, so we had to estimate it. Does that answer your question?
I'll leave it there for that. And then on your page 15, you had 2 comparables on the same street, which you referenced, 623 Erin and 1433 Erin. Would you not consider these to be your best comparables?
Yeah, they'd be good comparables.
So they are close to the subject property and do provide rental rates at 11 and 12.35, which is quite similar to the rent that we have applied. I guess the question there is, some of these properties are a little further out or are different types of buildings, which included flex warehouses, and one of them I think was a converted house at Hecla. Is there a reason why some of these were included as comparables?
We just tried to include kind of put a broad scope on this. I mean, they all are reasonably comparable in terms of year built and area. They were all signed fairly recently, 2019, 2020. So yeah, I mean, we could have narrowed this down further, but we chose to include all these properties.
Okay, thank you. And I guess last question would just be, I had emailed as well regarding the sale. We did have that sale at $600,000. Were you able to come across any additional information on that? Just your value's at 308 and we have a sale at 600. So there's quite a discrepancy between the two.
Yeah, we weren't aware of the sale when we put this submission together.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arnold, any questions for the applicant?
No, they've pretty much been asked, thanks.
Ms. Anderson, any questions?
No, the questions I had have been asked and answered. Thank you.
So you're representing the owner of this property, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So is there a tenant in there right now in this building?
Yeah, I believe it's an employment agency, actually.
And they're paying rent, correct?
I believe so, although, I mean, I would assume so. I don't think we have any rental information on it, though.
So you don't know how much rent they're paying right now for the facility?
I didn't until, I believe it is on the income and expense submitted by the assessment department. On page 14 of their submission, it does look like it was $9.92 per square foot.
And where did you get that figure?
Just at the bottom of page 14 on the assessment department submission. It shows that it was the Momentum Center. Lease started in 2022 for 3 years at $9.92 per square foot.
The rent to income it has is 32,274.
I was looking at just at the bottom of the page in that the premise listing. It shows the lease for. They have the area at 4,114.
Okay, and that's what they have is the area here. They have 3,000. You have 3,000, right?
Yeah, 3,000 was what was assessed for the income breakdown. So I'm not sure. I wasn't aware of any leasing information in this space until Mr. Gretchen presented this and was able to see it. So yeah, there's a discrepancy in the area, but I'm not entirely sure about the leasing here.
So if it was 3,000, then it would be a higher per square foot rate then. Is that right?
So if it was you're saying if it was a higher area?
Yeah, because the income is 32 something there. And if it was only 3,000 leasable area, then that rent per square foot would be higher.
It would. Yeah, it would.
If I can speak for a minute, I just noticed, this is information obviously submitted by the building owner, and it looks like that square footage that they used is the land area. So as you mentioned, if they did apply the leasable area, which is 3,000 square feet, the rent would be higher. So that 4,114, they're pulling that from the land area, not the building area. So I guess when they filled it out, they just entered the wrong square footage.
Okay. Okay, I have no further questions then. Anything in summation, Mr. Correction?
I have no summation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Sharples, anything in summation?
No need. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, that then will conclude this matter of 590 Aaron Street. And Mr. Sharples, you are the person for item 2 as well coming up, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. So we will proceed to item 2, 760 Aaron Street. This is a application for revision of assessment. And there is a preliminary matter. Mr. Gretchen, correct?
Correct. Yes, we are seeking non-compliance.
Non-compliance, okay. So what I'm gonna have you do then is to read it in and then get to the non-compliance section. And then the board will, and we will have a question and answer on that, and then the board will deliberate, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ready when you are.
If you need to get.
All right, so file number for this property is 24-927. A roll number is 130-1111-3000. The address is 760 Aaron Street. We have a roll year of 2025. The reference date is April 1st, 2023, and our assessed value is $528,000. Moving to the bottom of the page, you'll see our recommendation for non-cooperation as per section 53. If we move to my page 13, you'll find the letter that was mailed out for request for information for the income and expense mailer with the tracking number at the top. Page 14 and 15 include the blank mailer that would have been mailed out and requested for submission. Moving from page 15 to page 16, you'll see the tracking information matches for the information submitted by Canada Post, and there was a signature on June 12th. Page 17, again, provides the tracking number for the mail out and a signature that it was signed for. So our information essentially was mailed, received by the owner or a party related to the owner, and information was not sent back. And for that reason, we are seeking non-compliance.
Okay, Mr. Sharp.
That concludes my presentation on non-compliance.
Sorry, Mr. Sharples, do you have any questions for the assessor on the non-co-op issue?
I guess just a few. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this was sent to 777 Aaron Street. They kind of have a bunch of grouping of properties around here. Is it possible that the information for our property at 760 Aaron could have been included with information for another property? Could it have been added on, or?
At times, companies, if they are operating from multiple roll numbers, do a group submission, but it's submitted for each roll number. So essentially, they would, if they were submitting for property A, B, and C, they would submit it under each of the roll numbers. In this case, we did not receive that.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Arnold, any questions on the for the assessor on the non-co-op?
No questions at this time.
Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions.
And I have no questions. Mr. Sharples, is there anything else you want to say on the issue from your standpoint?
No, I have nothing else. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, then Mr. Dean, we are going to go in camera. Okay, I call the meeting back to order. The board has deliberated on the non-co-op issue and we have ruled that we are going to grant it. Mr. Gretchen, you may begin your presentation proper on this one.
With the granting of non-compliance, does the applicant not start, Mr. Chair?
Oh, correct, yeah. Correct. Mr. Sharples, please begin your presentation on this matter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll begin on page 3 for this one. Just provide a brief description of the property. So it is 3,888 square feet of industrial warehouse space. And it has an assessed year built of 1954. The current assessment is for $528,000. And we're requesting that the board consider reducing this to $399,000. On page 4, we just have the assessed income valuation. So again, the 3,888 square feet. I don't know off the top of my head what the rental rate used to get that $40,630 of potential income is. Looks like that was $10.45 per square foot that was used. Vacancy of 4%, expense allowance 3%. That's standard across all industrial properties, I believe. And then just on page 5 there, a cap rate of 7.05. And that's how they've gotten to the 528,000. So on page 6, we have our request. So we are requesting again a change to the rental rate to $8.45 per square foot and a capitalization rate of 7.5%. And so from that, that's how we've calculated our value of $399,000. Page 7, again, we just have the overhead and satellite maps. And then just some photos of the property on page 8. Page 9 again, I think this is going to look pretty similar to the last file. Current assessment on this one is $135.80 per square foot. We've taken a look at the sales below. And again, we've calculated the average sale price per square foot to be about $107 per square foot. These sales comparables that we've used are a little bit more comparable to this property at 760 Aaron than our previous file, just given the year of construction, with the subject being slightly older. And so again, we think the value should be closer to $106 per square foot. We believe that based off these sales, the current assessment is too high. And our requested value of $399,000 equates to $103 per square foot, which we believe better aligns with the sales. And so pages 10 through 13, we have all the street view photos of the comparables we've used. And then picking up on page 14, we've done the same thing for our capitalization rate calculation. So again, it's the same rental rate and parameters as the other property. We understand this isn't the best methodology to estimate a cap rate. We just looked at the third-party reports and seen that some of these brokerage houses were reporting rates up to 7.5, and we looked at these sales and calculated a value that was close to that. And so that determined our request. Again, so same as the other property, we're just looking at 7.5% for the cap rate. And once again, page 15, we have the rental rate. So again, these are the same comparables. We get an average of $8.45 per square foot, which has formed the basis of our request. Yeah, this property is right down the street from the property we looked at earlier. So I don't really have anything additional to add that I didn't touch on at the last point. But we do believe this supports a lower rental rate for the subject property. And then once again, just the photos of the leasing comparables we've used run from page 16 all the way to page 24. And so again, on page 25, just to summarize, we do believe that the current assessment is too high. One, we've taken a look at a bunch of different leasing comparables. And from that, we've gotten a rate closer to $8.45 per square foot. And then we've also calculated the capitalization rate of 7.5. And from that, we've calculated our new value, and we would ask the board to consider reducing the value to $399,000. Thank you.
Mr. Gretchen, any questions for the applicant on their presentation?
I do, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I guess similar to the last property, you use the same method, calculating or manufacturing, I guess, NOIs based off of the set rate at $8.45, and you're just carrying that forward again to this property?
Yeah, again, it's the best we can do. We think they're all comparable to the subjects and would have similar rates. So without knowing what they are exactly, we've kept them all the same, kind of just for consistency.
Okay, and then moving to your page 15, you're using the average rent. Are you aware that some of your rental comparables are flex warehouses with rents ranging from $7 to $12?
No, I wasn't, to be honest. So the challenge with us for finding these leasing comparables is we don't have access to a ton of great data for these. So these are actually all pulled from previous assessment department submissions to the Board of Revision. So these were all properties that have been used as comparables for industrial warehouse properties.
Okay. The reason I bring it up is just that, once again, the range in some of the flex warehouses is $7 to $12, and the rental rates you've used are on the low end of the rents that were available in that building. So had you applied one of the higher rents, would you not agree that your average rent would be higher? One other question. We did, obviously I haven't been able to present my brief yet, but we did have a sale in 2018 for $450,000. So I'm just wondering, based on your valuation, why you would consider it less today?
Yeah, so that's another one. When I was looking at sales, I pulled everything from 2020 and more recent. So I wasn't aware of that sale, and perhaps that's a mistake on my end. But yeah, once again, I wasn't aware of the sale price when I put this document together.
Okay, I think that's all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Grayson.
Good. Ms. Anderson, any questions?
They've been asked and answered. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Mr. Arnold, any questions?
None at this time, thanks.
And I have none. Therefore, Mr. Gretchen, you may begin your presentation now.
All right, so we've already gone through the roll number. Address again is 760 Aaron Street. Our assessed value is $528,000. You'll see at the bottom of page 1, this is a premise or a property that consists of 3 buildings with 1 premise. The year builts range from 1944 to 1948, and wall heights range from 11 to 14 feet. Again, this is zoned M1 light manufacturing. Our land area was 8,455 square feet, and our gross floor area or leasable area is 3,888 square feet, giving us a land to plan ratio of 2.17. As I had just mentioned, we do have a sale from 2018 with a value at $450,000. You'll find that on my page 2. Moving to page 3, you'll find the maps. So the property again is located in the northwest quadrant of the city on Erin between Portage and St. Matthews. Page 4 includes a more close-up map showing the location. Moving to page 5 is the start of the photos. So photos of property and lot have been included. Page 5 to page 7. Once we move to my page 8, you'll find my rent comparables. So my lease ranges, or my lease rate being lease range from a start date of 2018 to 2021. My lease term ranges from 1 to 6 years. My square footages are approximately 1,000 to 6,000 square feet, with wall heights from 11 to 16 feet. Effective year builts range from 1956 to 1978, and the net rents range from $8.92 to $12. My page 9 includes our workup here. Again, the leasable area was 3,888 square feet. We have a $10.45 rent and a potential rent of $40,630. Applying vacancy at 4% gives us an effective gross income $39,005. After 3% expenses and a $4 shortfall, we arrive at a net operating income $37,213. Cap rate of 7.05% is applied, giving us an estimated rounded value of $528,000. Page 10 includes that income summary. Moving to page 11, you'll find my capitalization rates. Again, the cap rate of 7.05% is inside the 20th to 80th percentiles of the city cap rates. Page 12 includes the Municipal Act excerpts. Pages 13 to 17 were the information we covered regarding the non-compliance and the mailer. And page 18 is the application for the border provision. That concludes my presentation. I do find the value at $528,000 to be fair and equitable, and would request the board to confirm this value. I'm now open for questions.
Thank you. Mr. Sharples, any question on the assessor's presentation?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I've got a couple, thank you. The first one, Mr. Gretchen, I'm not even sure if you could answer, but on your first page, we have the actual and effective year built of 1944 to 1948 and 1944 to 1949. And I'm just looking at this and cross-referencing the assessment that we were provided, the income breakdown. We have the effective year built listed as 1954. Could you explain why there's a difference in those properties? Because I mean, if the property is 10 years older than we were initially led to believe, I mean, maybe we would have used different comparables or something. Do you know why those year builts are different?
Sorry, where was the 1954 from?
So this is on, I mean, it's on page 4 of our submission. And this is the income breakdown we get from the Winnipeg website when we get the access code from the property owners.
No, I'm not certain why they don't align. I mean, obviously ours has a range, So ranges are based on when the additional building, so in this case, we did have 3 buildings. So the range would be reflective of when each of the buildings was added. However, I don't have anything added after 1949 or 1948. So I'm not sure where the 1954 is coming from. I'm just gonna quickly see if I can pull one thing up here to see if it would clarify for us. No, of course, no, sorry, I'm not able to pull it up right now.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm not certain where the 1954 comes into play here.
okay.
Just one thing I was considering it could be is if there's been any renovations into the building, sometimes an effective age is applied. So had the building been built in 1944, but they, add, updates or have made changes to the building, any major renovations, an effective age is applied to essentially reflect those renovations. So that could be it. But I'm once again, I'm speculating. I'm not sure where the 1954 is coming from.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the effective year built on page 1 of your brief is only adds a year. But yeah, I wasn't sure if you would have known what was going on there. Just on the rent comparables, what were they? Page 8, maybe? Yeah, page 8. Just the previous file on this docket was just down the street, very similar in size. Everything was fairly similar. So why did you choose different rent comparables for this property versus the other one?
So I did look at that, and I could have carried forward my rent comparables. Obviously, the rents were higher in my other comparables, and the previous building was a newer build. So I looked for older built comparables. And then the other factor was the lower wall heights. So our previous building had a higher wall height. So I was looking for something with smaller wall heights. These comparables range from only 11 to 16 feet in wall heights, which more accurately reflects or compares to our subject property. So that's the reason why I chose different comparables instead of carrying forward the same ones.
Okay. Okay, I believe that's all my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Arnold, do you have any questions for the assessor?
No questions at this time, thanks.
Ms. Anderson?
Just in regards to the property sale, that's my only question. That's an arm length sale. Can you give us any information?
Yeah, based on the information that we did receive, it was a good sale or an arm's length sale. There was no evidence that I had anyways, that it was a related party. And so as I did mention, the sale was in 2018. Yeah, 2018 for $450,000.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. That's my only question.
Thank you.
I have no questions. Mr. Sharples, anything in summation?
No, I have no need. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Gresham, anything in summation?
No summation for me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, therefore, that concludes this matter of item 2, 760 Aaron Street. And we have heard all of the items scheduled at for this hearing, and it is now adjourned. Thank you very much, Mr. Sharples. Mr. Gretchen, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
everyone.
members of the panel.
Have a
Thank
great
you, Mr. Chair. Have a good day, everyone.
You too.